Welcome to Bachademia, a podcast so educational two professors could be hosting it. Hi, I'm Dr. Danielle Dick-McGew, and joining me is Dr. Bill Henneman. Welcome to Bachademia, and happy week of gratitude. Bill is in Ireland eating, drinking, and seeing things with his mom, Danelle. Shout out to Danelle and Bill. Yay! And so the amazing, wonderful, and witty co-host Kim is back today to fill in. Kim, how you doing?
That is a lot of pressure to be witty today. I hope I can live up to it. Well, fingers crossed, man. I'm good. I'm not working today. I don't want to timestamp us too much, but it is Thanksgiving Eve. So I guess I totally just timestamped us. And so I'm just in like full food prep mode today.
Speaking of full food prep mode, what's your favorite Turkey Day dish?
Oh, okay. So I love making something out of the leftovers. So I actually make a leftovers pizza.
Ooh.
With the leftovers, and I make a pizza crust, and then I do gravy as the sauce, and then mashed potatoes, turkey, the cranberry relish. Maybe I'll throw some green beans on there. Gravy, and then I do vegan mozzarella cheese on top, and then I bake it, and it's perfection.
That sounds amazing.
It's really good. It's really good.
So I think that I really like green bean casserole. Like I could eat a lot of green bean casserole and pumpkin. I'm a fan of pumpkin pie. So I do have a question. When you say your cranberry relish, are you team jelly from the canned cranberry sauce, or are you team fresh cranberry?
So I make it, and I'm trying a new recipe this year. One of the alumni that I work with sent it to me. She was telling me about it, and she sent me the recipe. So I'm trying it. This is the first time. It's boozy. There's port in it, and there's orange liqueur. So it smells really good. I made it on Sunday because it needs to like set and gel and everything, but it looks and smells really good.
That's exciting.
Everybody likes it. Yeah.
You'll have to report. I kind of like the weird canned stuff. I mean, I like the fresh stuff too, but like nothing like more nostalgic than just like whatever substance that canned stuff is.
Yeah. Well, we used to do it. We used to have it when I was little, and it would be fun to like have it like plop out of the can, and then it'd have the ridges, and then you would just slice it on the ridges.
Like that plop is just like such a, it creates such a feeling, you know?
It's like when you would pour out like cream of mushroom soup into a recipe, and it would just like out of the can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's oddly satisfying.
I think so.
Absolutely. Yes. So before we jump into this week's episode of The Bachelorette, I think we need to talk about all of the drama that's happening in Bachelor Nation. It has been a week. So
it's day 3 of a week.
I know, right? Like wild. So Katie broke up with Blake about a month ago, and she's been posting pictures of her and John on Instagram for a while as friends, and made it official that her and John are a couple. Yes. Thoughts on this, Kim?
So I did not like Blake. I think it's very clear about that in Katie's season. So I'm not sad that they are no longer together, although breakups suck, even if it's a fake relationship, which I think theirs was. I identified John as one of my tops before this season started, and I was I don't want to say devastated because that seems a little extreme, but I was very sad when he went out so early. So I felt a little vindication in my like taste that he he's back. He's better than
Yeah.
ever. He's ready to go. So I'm excited for them. I'm excited. I hope they make it for a while. Katie and John, 2 thumbs up.
Yeah. I mean, I saw like a little reel of them, and of course, you know, that's clearly them picking and choosing what they're showing, but I thought that they looked super cute together. I've never been a huge fan of Blake either, and I too sort of shared your sentiments that maybe their relationship, I felt like their relationship was like more of a pact, that it was like, oh, you know, we're gonna make some money off of this, like this is gonna help us. And so like, yeah, like almost like, oh, things didn't work out with Greg, and so she's like, we're on the same page, Blake and I, so like this is what we're gonna do. And so like I mean, it's not a good look for Katie in certain ways, but like most of the show isn't, so like whatever, do your thing, girl.
Well, and I think I think that they probably said you have to choose somebody for the end of this season, and I just don't think Blake is, I just find him so boring and so meh. And he keeps coming back. It's like, go away. You clearly are not successful at this show. Please stop coming back. And if he is one of the upcoming bachelors, I'm gonna be really annoyed. But he was boring for her personality. Like, she was a very vivacious and energetic and very much, I think, knew herself. And he was just kind of like,
I just think he's a little bro-y for me. And especially her kind of having, though it's somewhat confusing, but kind of having some feminist vibes. I just felt like there was somehow like a disconnect there.
Yep.
But so I'm excited. Go Katie and John, do your thing. So then Hannah B released her book, like Beautiful Mess or something mess, like hot mess. I don't know what the title is. You can pick it up for 30% off at Target right now, I think.
It's already on sale.
Yes. And she in the book admits to, well, it's kind of complicated because she says that she hooked up with Peter during his season. However, whether or not it was actually like when they were filming his season or when his season was still airing is a little complicated. I will say Bachelor Data did a really good timeline. And so if you need to kind of check it out, give Bachelor Data some love. But yeah, so that's, you know, both shocking and not shocking, and whatever, Hannah B.
I think that happens all the time with the different cast members, and I think that she just seems like the kind of person that would just be more open about it than probably most of the other cast members, because now that I've become part of Bachelor Nation, I follow a couple of Instagram accounts, and people are constantly like sending in pictures of the Bachelor people out in the wild, and they're always in different groups, and so I think that is just something that happens.
It's a really incestual.
Yeah. It's like if you grew up in a small town and nobody ever left and you just started dating each other, like everyone was just, it's like a small town high school where you like date everybody and then you kind of run out of people to date. And then maybe you find out that you were actually dating like this never happened to me, but it did happen to a friend, that maybe you're actually dating a second cousin. And so you have to stop because you've run out of people to date.
I mean, yeah, it is. It's
legitimately like happened in my hometown, but
it's like an incestual small town where everyone has abs.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Hometown. Everyone looks good in a swimsuit. You know what? Everyone does look good in a swimsuit, but everyone in this small bachelor town has like 16 abs.
Yes. So then Tayshia and Zach broke up. And that's
sad.
disappointing.
I wasn't sad about that either. Because
Yeah,
I don't think I don't think I don't I didn't like him very much either. I felt like he wasn't the real deal, Danielle. He wasn't the real deal.
I just felt like I don't know how to say this other than to say it. I just don't feel like he's like good enough for her. That like she wasn't, I'm like, girl, do you got some confidence issues or what? Because I feel like she was like you're on this TV show, you are the Bachelorette, like you don't downgrade, you know?
Yep.
I don't know. So yeah, lots happening in Bachelor Nation. Keep it going. The holidays are always a wild time for families. So here we are. So we got 4 episodes left of The Bachelorette with Michelle, and we have hometowns on the horizon. And this week, you know, we've got kids. So we got Luke, Ahmed, Kelsey, and Jaylene, and Mrs. Young's students are brought in to help her make decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, the biggest question on my mind is, do you think they are really her students?
Absolutely not. I think they're kid actors. I'm sure half of them are in the Guthrie production of A Christmas Carol right now. That little cutie is probably Tiny Tim, but I don't care because I loved them and they were super adorable and fun.
They were super wonderful. So they were coming in with the tough questions like, who has the worst breath? Have you ever been grounded? Can you do a handstand? And have you shaved your nipples? Did you have
it? Yes to 2 of those.
Have you never been grounded, Kim?
I've never been. My parents didn't believe in it, so we were disappointed in not grounded, and I think that might be worse.
Yeah, I think I received similar parenting style, though they never told us they didn't believe in grounding. I think though we only got grounded like a couple of times.
Yeah.
Maybe. So
that's also not like, I just didn't get in trouble, so they might not, they may have grounded us like if I'd done something ground worthy, but I was pretty tame in high school, so there was no reason to ground me.
Good girl, Kim. So did you have any other favorite kid questions?
Not the questions, but the comment, that little tiny, I'm gonna just call him Tiny Tim because he would make the perfect Tiny Tim. I think it's Luke. We'll call him Tiny Luke. His rationality for why he likes Clayton was phenomenal. Phenomenal. He has a lot of muscle, so he could probably help bring in the groceries. It's really all you need. And I mean, I love it. He made me so happy.
It was pretty wonderful to like hear kids' take on what you should expect in a life partner.
Yep.
I really liked that one of the girls said what we all already knew, and that is that Martin wears too much cologne. I always imagined that he smelled like a bottle of Axe body spray.
I was just gonna say, he's the guy that still wears Axe body spray.
So is Blake.
Yes.
Like Blake is too. They're like, you know, if there's a possibility that this person wears Axe body spray, you should run.
100%. 100%. Because Axe body spray is terrible. And you should never wear it after the age of 14, if at all. So stop wearing Axe body spray.
There we go. Like that is not a change that we are making in the world today. The world is a better place because of this.
Stop buying Axe body spray.
So Clayton kind of comes in and plays the game by inviting the kids to build a fort. And inside the fort, they interrogate him and ask him really important questions like, have you farted in front of Michelle? And he's like, no. And then he's like, okay, maybe.
This was fantastic because we finally saw Clayton. I mean, Clayton is the mashed potatoes of this season. There's another Thanksgiving reference, but he's like the mashed potatoes of this season. But he might be like mashed potatoes with a little bit of cheddar now, because we finally see his personality coming out a little bit.
Absolutely. And I mean, he seems, pretty fun. I also I love the kid element of this segment, because I really felt like you did learn, they're better questions than whatever they're asking them to get them to do the confessionals and things like that. Also, like you said, I love the kids' set of criteria that they evaluate them in by.
Yep.
So the kids do choose Clayton for the one-on-one date, and their first stop is the Natural History Museum, where we witness Clayton's amazing moves, which are apparently his approach to a mating call. And then they gaze at stars in a planetarium and share a somewhat chaste kiss. It becomes pretty clear early on in this date, I felt, that Clayton is a really good guy and Michelle likes him, but that the chemistry between them is not anywhere close to what she has with the other guys.
Do you think that this is kind of the first time he's ever had to try with girls, because he was the big man on the football team in high school and in college? And so girls probably just flocked to him. And so now he doesn't know how to be the guy.
Initiator. Yeah. I mean, I think that's possible. I think it's possible that he's a nice guy, but just not Michelle's type. I think it's also possible that had he got a one-on-one earlier in the season, I mean, I just think at this point, they are about to go to hometowns and she has progressed. I mean, Nate and Joe, especially, you feel like she has these kind of deep connections with. And then so for Clayton to kind of come in at this point, I think it'd have to really, really be there quick and intense. And I think it's not. And on top of that too, I do think it's kind of this funny thing where it seems like Michelle has had some intense experiences and some of the other guys are I've had intense experiences too. And they kind of match. And Clayton's oh, he, he's, like you said, a little bit mashed potato-y, a little bit white bread, and so I also just think that his life seems pretty easy peasy. Not that I think hers has been particularly hard, but I do think
he's had to work hard as an athlete, because that's hard. To be a college athlete is hard. You don't just walk in and whatever. But
yeah,
I don't know that. So my deep hatred for Mizzou is going to come out again. I don't know that you have to work that hard at an SEC school if you're on the football team. So I'm generalizing. He's probably brilliant. I mean, he said he's getting his MBA, so he's a smart man. But I don't know that his struggles are the same as her struggles.
Yeah.
And it's hard to compare struggles when they're so different. His struggles are very different than her struggles. He's had them. We all have them. But his struggles and her struggles are very different. And she can identify with Nate and Joe and Raymond because they have had similar struggles.
Yeah. And so I just think that maybe if they had connected more earlier on, it would have had time to grow into some like deeper connection, but given that she had these experiences where she could connect quickly and more intensely with other people earlier on, I just think he can't catch up.
Yeah.
So at dinner, you know, Clayton kind of talks through some of his struggles, but it is kind of awkward because it is just clear that she's not feeling it. And so she sends him home. Any thoughts on how she sent him home or anything like that?
I think I kind of love her picking up the rose, walking people out with it. So they think, oh, we're going outside to get the rose. And then she's like, tucks it back in her pocket and is like, see ya. Like, I kind of love that that's her method this season. We've seen it a couple of times. We will see it again tonight. Like, I kind of love that.
Yeah. She takes control.
And I wish we could have gotten to know Clayton better, but he just didn't rise to the top early, and he just kind of like coasted in, and he never got very much screen time. And then by the time he finally got screen time and you're like, oh, you are sweet, you are nice, it was too late.
Yeah. So yeah, at this point we really are going, Clayton's the next bachelor, like really. So the producers get all producery on us and invite the kids to say bye to Clayton. And they hand him these handwritten letters that express how sad they are that it didn't work out. And they tell him that they hope he will find love. And Clayton chokes up and he says that this process has really revealed to him how much he wants to have a family.
Yep.
Thoughts about this moment?
I kept expecting the transition from that part of the show to a commercial that said, this season on The Bachelor, Clayton. Like, the way they had it set up, I was fully expecting this would be the episode that they announced.
Yeah.
That they officially announced it. And they clearly laid several hints throughout the episode, but they still haven't officially.
Yeah. Well, so what I will say is, I think that what I appreciated about it is I do think that many people can relate to having like kind of this moment where you're like, oh yeah, I really do want this thing. Right. And you can't always predict what it is that's gonna like trigger that, you know? And so, and to like also that and relate to that moment where you realize you really want this thing, but like also you don't have it and it's sad, and you know. And so I thought that it was really good television. I felt a little uncomfortable, especially like I think there's like a confessional moment where like he was like in a hallway or something like that and they were having him talk, where every once in a while I have these moments where I'm like, it's really creepy that we watch and like this show, you know, like that I'm watching this man be in pain and that like it's for my entertainment. And I like felt very voyeuristic and icky. And but I also like those moments because I think I guess I'm getting a little extra credit on y'all. And there's a theater practitioner, Bertolt Brecht, who writes about an alienation effect. And it's like basically he argues that when we get into performances that are, and we're really emotionally captivated by it, that we lose the ability to be critical, that we lose the ability to ask questions about it, or like we are kind of passive recipients of it instead, and we kind of get lost. So he comes up with different methods that sort of reveal to audiences that what you're watching is a performance, so that you can then think more thoughtfully about, I'm like laughing, think more thoughtfully, but like, you know, to be more critical about what it is that you're watching. And so I felt like that was like one of those moments for me that like, I mean, this show has plenty of them, but it was one of those moments where it asked me to sort of evaluate my own sort of the ethics of watching, if you will.
Well, and I also thought, I think it's good to show men having emotion on TV as much as possible, to show that it is normal and it is okay. And I know there are a lot of boyfriends and husbands that aren't watching the show with their wives and girlfriends. I'm air quoting for those of you listening, but are absolutely like in the room and are watching and listening. And so I think it's great when, for him, I think it was genuine. And so I think it is great to continue to show that, so that more and more men and women normalize men showing emotion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So a bit of a shift here. So we moved to the group date. And, as we were watching, Kim was like, "Oh, this is the Bachelorette farm episode," right? So their group date is on this farm where they milk a cow, churn butter, scoop poop. Joe shines, Martin. Tell me about it.
If like it makes, I don't know if they did, I assume they did, but it would make sense if the girls on Crystal's season went to a farm and did farm chores, because if they married Chris, they would live on a farm and have to do farm chores, not toys. I don't see Michelle living on a farm unless it's like a hobby farm where they have like a cow and organic. Like I don't see this as her future. So I don't know why they need to every time go to somebody's farm and terrorize these poor farm animals. And I don't need to see grown men shoveling manure. I see it. I've seen it. I've done it. It's not that sexy. It's not exciting. But I do love, Michelle was in sky-high boots and she was shoveling manure in those sky-high boots, and I hope they are washable, because those are destroyed if they aren't. But I don't, do something. I know we're farm activities pre-COVID, or is this something they have to do because they have to find outdoor activities near where they're set?
I mean, I think that this is probably, I mean, I do think that COVID has something to do with it. That being said, I do think that the show has this tendency to sort of play on stereotypes, right? So, this idea that the Midwest, even if it's Minneapolis, is still like farm country, and like that somehow captures the experience of anyone living there. So I think that it's not uncommon for the show to kind of play on those things. We had a little bit of a conversation about, I find it really interesting the amount of attention they've put on Michelle's job.
Yes.
And I'm trying to figure out how to process that, because on one hand, to be frank about things, I feel like our nation is a bit hostile towards teachers right now. And so to recast, I guess, teacher as hero, as I feel that they are, is something that I feel like I should be on board with. But there's also, I think that it's really interesting because like sometimes I'm like, I feel like they ignore their work life so much that I find it weird. But then I also find it really weird where like her entire identity and everything about Michelle has become about her being a teacher.
Do you think part of it is because she has a job that the normal average American recognizes? Because some of the jobs that previous bachelorettes have had haven't been a traditional well-known middle America career. And so that they want to highlight, I think you're absolutely right that they're trying to like highlight, hey, stop being, can I swear on this? Stop being dicks to teachers. Knock it off. Look how amazing this teacher is and her fake students. And also we can talk about her job because we can talk about her job. Like if you are an influencer, if your job is an influencer on Instagram, it's hard to bring that job into everyday conversation on the show, where if you're a teacher or you're a nurse or or gosh, I'm going into all the lady stereotype jobs, or a doctor.
I think the fact that it is this very she takes care of kids, and we expect teachers to be very nurturing and right, it's like she loves her students, right? And so even though she's on the show, she's like trying to still maintain, her relationship with her teachers. I think you're right. It's something that people feel like they understand. It maybe seems more interesting than like if you're like, well, this person works in an office and files papers and fills out forms all day long, right? Like, how would you like
hard to talk about that every week?
Yeah, you wouldn't like how many cutesy things could you create from that? But I also do wonder if some of it is, especially this franchise has this kind of a Pollyanna feel in terms of how it perceives romance compared to like other reality TV shows that maybe feel a little more risque or something like that. And I feel like this is part of this like narrative of like Michelle as like a good girl, right?
Yeah.
And probably a good Black girl at that. So I just like, there's something that feels a little weird to me about it, but at the same time, like I really do like the kids asking questions.
I mean, she is more than basketball and teaching, but they really only focus on the basketball and teaching.
Yes.
I want to know if she knits every night like normal other cool people do, so they don't snack while they're watching television. Like, what else does she do besides play basketball and teach adorable fake children and real children? She teaches real children, but
not on this show.
Last night, like if you had children in her classroom, would you even want them to be exposed on this show? Like I would, as if I was a parent of one of her students, I would support her. I'd be excited for her, but I wouldn't want my kid on the show.
I have questions too about not just with Michelle, but with many of the leads on The Bachelor and Bachelorette or even BIP. Like, I don't know how you kind of go back to a normal career.
Right.
I just think that would be, be like, especially like I was just on Good Morning America, and I don't know. It seems like it'd be a weird adjustment.
Millions of people have seen me eat tacos off of somebody. Now I'm gonna go back to my office job. Like, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'll just sell like energy drinks on Instagram. So during the evening portion of the date, Nate reveals that he's never introduced a girl to his dad, and he tells Michelle that he's falling for her, and she reciprocates by saying that she has very strong feelings for him. I will say, I think that there's like an energy or a banter between them that I really like.
Yeah, they have fun together. They could have fun, like continually have fun together.
And she like calls him on stuff. Like, I thought it was so funny when he was like faking his like backache or whatever, and then like goes and gets a kiss from her, and she's like, oh my gosh, like you are, like I just felt like I appreciate that kind of there's something there. So everyone's having these like great moments with Michelle, and Martin thinks to himself, well, how can I stir this up? So he starts talking about how Michelle just misunderstood him last week, and starts making some accusations of Michelle because he's a complete tool. And Olu is not having it, and he snitches on Martin in the most respectful way that a person can snitch. And then Michelle grabs a rose, as Kim was mentioning, talks to Martin, and then Martin denies pretty much everything, gaslights Michelle, because he's like, oh, like, you're kind of making this up. Like, you know, you need to trust me. And she's not having it. She says, hey, you have to let me speak. And then she sends him packing. You know, thoughts on this debacle?
I mean, he is the worst. He's the epitome of it's not me, it's you. And it's 100% him. Like, he's just, douchiness oozes out of him every time he opens his mouth, and he has such a different idea of who he is than everybody else. And you can tell that the guys don't really, you can just tell when the guys don't really enjoy being around someone, and it's not because they're trying to like gang up on them to get rid of him, but he's genuinely not a fun person to be around, I think, in that group. And I respect Olu for not like, because a lot of times when they do this, when something like Olu did, they try to like, I'm telling you what I've seen, but you know, and he just like straight out like, here's what he's saying. I want you to be aware of the situation. Thank you and good evening. Like,
yeah,
I respected how he handled it, because I think she needed to know. And I also respected that she didn't dink around. She just got him out. She was done.
Yeah. I mean, I think that what kind of got me is I feel a little tricked by Martin. So like at the beginning, I remember sort of being like, oh, he's friends with Jamie, like that kind of not making sense to me. And now I'm like, oh, it makes perfect sense to me that he and Jamie were good friends. And I remember sort of like liking Martin and being like, how am I going to get over his hair, you know? And then like now I like no, I should have trusted my gut.
It's the least of his problems.
Yes. And then his hair is the least of his problems. So yeah, I kind of just feel like then you saw more and more of Martin come out, and he's awful. You do have these moments though where you're like, you know that there are cameras, and like this is gonna be cut and edited not in your favor. Like, how do you not think of
he has no I think he genuinely has no self-awareness. Like, he does not know that his personality is problematic.
So snaky. Snaky. Like, oh, I'm just gonna keep trying to cover my ass. And yeah, I don't know. It was really uncomfortable. So then she has this one-on-one date with Brandon, and they start by having some ice cream, and then they head to her parents' house, and they are not home. And it's clearly this, like, they're making out in the hot tub, and it's clearly like a setup by the entire show. They all have to know exactly what's going on.
So first of all, I think it's hilarious how Brandon's date was edited, because Stillwater, where the ice cream lives, is way the heck on the river, is about, from where her parents live, it's probably about a good solid hour to hour and a half with traffic. And Stillwater is an amazing town. They should have just, and hopefully they didn't, they just edited it out, but they could have spent an entire date having a blast in Stillwater, and instead they go to her house and sit in a hot tub. Like, I know it's all producers, and I know it's such a niche thing that only like the people that live or are from that area even know about, but it was so staged so that they could have the awkward interaction with her parents. And then
well, and I felt like they were playing. So Brandon feels really young, and he's not old. I mean, he's 20,
so young. Yeah.
He's 26, but you know, you could tell me that he was 23 and I would have been like,
or 16. I mean, he has a baby face.
And so I felt like they were like almost creating this like high school like experience where
Yeah.
you're like sneak into your
Caught making out in
house,
your
you
parents'
get caught
house.
making out. I mean, can you also imagine if this was real? And I mean, like, this is the thing, is they get us to suspend our disbelief. And if this is real and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna catch my kid making out with someone in the hot tub and he's wearing my pants, and then 10 minutes later he's going to ask for my daughter's hand in marriage.
Yeah. It seemed a bit rushed and crazy. And I think her dad did a good job of just kind of having the face of, I mean, this is my life right now.
So one of the questions that I had is it felt so super staged. The
Mhm.
parents had to have known,
Mhm.
right?
Out the door, like there was no like, oh, is the door unlocked? It was just like, you don't normally just like go through your house and out onto your back deck when you get home from something, unless you're letting a
No,
dog out or something. And they weren't letting a dog out. They were just, let's both go out on the deck right now.
no. So I mean, it's clearly
deal.
staged. My question is, does Michelle know? And my other question is, did Brandon know? Or did they like keep Brandon, especially, like, did they not let him know so that they could get him genuinely surprised? You know, like, I just have some questions about how used he was in this situation.
I'm about to go a little into biology right now, but I think they knew or they had time to adjust because Brandon didn't have to put any hands in front of himself when he got out of the hot tub, and they were making out pretty hardcore. So unless they had like unless he's like not a normal 26-year-old man, or there was enough time, or they were like faking it so that he wasn't getting excited and having to cover anything when they got up. I think they
Maybe
knew.
he just had, maybe he was just really swimming in those pants.
Maybe. I don't think
In
he was.
dad's trunks.
Or there are
Yeah.
other things happening.
What do you think about him asking for Michelle's hand in marriage? Too
No.
soon?
Too soon.
I was like, is he like confused about where we are in the show? Like, cause like I was like, does he feel like, cause
They're at her house.
like that's what they typically, you get one shot with the parents usually on the show. And
Yeah.
so I was like, is he just like, oh, well, this is what you do at this point in the show?
Yeah.
And I mean, he's eager. I believe that he is ready to marry Michelle. I believe that.
Yes. Or the producers say, go ask her dad. Go ask her dad.
Oh my goodness. So at dinner, then Brandon gives Michelle a bracelet that his mom made.
That was sweet.
He's super sweet. I really like Brandon, but he doesn't have a shot.
No.
He doesn't.
Clearly two front runners, and everybody else is just kind of biding their time.
And I think that he's gonna get crushed because I don't think he knows that he doesn't have a shot.
Yeah.
So after that, we have a rose ceremony. They skip the cocktail party once again. Kind of, I think, generally unsurprising. Olu and Rick are the two that go home.
Yeah. I was sad to see Olu go because he always looks fantastic. But I wasn't surprised that he didn't make the final four.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't think he was that surprised either. I feel like Rick was a little bit, right? Like, I think Rick felt, like he had a connection with Michelle, and I think he was a little bit surprised by it. Yeah, so we've really narrowed it down. We have 4 black, or I mean, at least, I guess I don't know. I guess I would say black, but 4 black contestants.
Yeah, people of men
people of color. I don't, I was gonna say I can't always guess those things, but so in the final reels, they do pretty much announce Clayton as the next bachelor.
Yep.
Thoughts on this decision after we got to see him a little more? I'm still not excited.
I'm not excited, but I'd rather it be him than Blake.
Oh my goodness.
Really bummed
Yeah.
if it's both of them.
Oh.
If they do 2 bachelors, I'm gonna be really bummed if they're both, if those are the 2.
My dog's being really annoying, so I'm gonna go open the door quick.
No worries. I just think that he'll be fine. I just don't think, I think because he is so middle of the road, I think the women that they would cast for his season will either be wild or super boring also. And if they're wild, I think it's going to be a train wreck of a season, because I don't think that he would enjoy that. And if they're like middle of the road, it'll be a really boring season.
I feel like this is like their attempt to sort of appease viewers that have not been happy with Chris Harrison, with with the more, I guess, progressive aspects of the show. And that's not to say that I think Clayton, I don't know what Clayton's like politics or views or anything are, but there's just ways that he feels. Is there like, what's the name for Pollyanna but a dude? Is there like a Pollyanna name for dudes?
Jack from 30 Rock? Not the Page, Kenneth.
Yeah. There's just like something that's, he feels like old school Bachelor franchise in a lot of ways, just like very, I'm like a nice, upstanding guy. He probably loves God, right? Like, and
he's probably like what they wanted Chris Soules to be.
Yes. And I feel like this is, so yeah, I mean, I'm also really wild women. I don't know how he would handle that.
I don't think he would like it. I genuinely don't think he would.
I do believe if they are trying to cast the idea that this is genuinely a show about finding love and this guy is here for love, not the wrong reason, that like, if that's like their play, they got it with Clayton. Any lessons learned from this episode?
The producers don't understand what Minneapolis is, what people in Minneapolis do for fun on the weekends. We do farms. We might go to apple orchards, but we don't shovel manure.
Now, Kim, you lived in Minneapolis for a little while, right?
Well, I lived in St. Paul. It's very different, but I worked in Minneapolis. The 2 cities are very aggressive. It's kind of like Waterloo, Cedar Falls, where it's better than it used to be, but it's 2 very distinct cities.
Yeah. Trying to think of what my lesson was. I mean, I think that my lesson learned is that we should all ask questions like we're kids, really all the time, but especially when we're seeking out relationships.
And have kids like be your like kind of to, oh God, the word is escaping me, but like to kind of like check your dates before you get too far into a relationship. Have them sit down with children that you trust and have them like berate them with questions and see how they handle it. Because if they can't handle it at all, then that's not a good sign. And if they don't find it fun or they get overwhelmed, that's probably not a good sign too. Unless you are like, I don't like kids either. This doesn't bother me, but I love the idea of having kids be like your first round of questioning when you're dating someone.
I think that I would like the next time that I chair a search committee to have like a 7-year-old on the search committee. God. I just like feel like that is a great way to also have colleagues.
Absolutely. I love that idea. I think there should be a kid included in every major decision ever, because they're the ones who will be like, why are you doing it that way? That's crazy. And you're thinking it, but when like, it doesn't come out the same. And a 7-year-old will be like, well, that's dumb. Don't do that.
Yes. You'd be like, thank you. I've been thinking that for a decade.
Right? This kid gets it. He's backing me up. Yep.
Yes, I love it. So any final shout outs?
Oh man. Congratulations to Hannah. Katie and John. Way to go, Hannah and Pete, I guess. I mean, you get yours. And Tayshia, there's better out there. Someone who doesn't let you walk during a marathon is not a good person.
Nope. That's a good lesson learned. So
You know your buddy.
We'll be doing the raffle to see who wins Mama Sue's tie-dye here soon. So yeah, and
get your reviews in, folks.
You bet. So
I wouldn't be able to qualify.
We would let you qualify.
I have some of Sue's magic work, so I probably should let somebody else win it because I have towels and some other stuff from Sue.
It is magical, so y'all are in for a treat.
It's so cool.
Happy week, y'all. I hope that you're relaxing and eating.
Yes. Eat lots.
You've been listening to Batchademia with your hosts, Doctors Daniel Dick McGew and Bill Henniger. All opinions expressed on this show are solely the opinion of the person who spoke them. If you like our podcast, please consider following us, leaving us a 5-star rating, and a positive review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, please share with your friends, family, and other ardent Bachelor content lovers. If you have comments or questions you would like us to address on the show, you can email us at batchademia@gmail.com or on the Twitter with the handle @batchademia. Thanks for listening.